Hi. I'm going to teach Hangman's Reel today by request. We kind of get this from, well, actually, I learned all this from watching music historian and awesome dude, Carrie Blesh, talk about the roots of this tune. There is a YouTube video. I'll try to link to that in the description, maybe, where he talks about the roots of where old-time fiddlers get this tune from. But in a nutshell, Albert Hash, Virginia fiddler, who born in 1917, learned it off a record from Texas fiddler Bill Northcutt, who apparently learned it off a record from Quebecois fiddler Jean Carignan. And somehow, we learned it all from Albert Hash. And so that's the version we play. It's morphed quite a bit over the years. And if you watch this thing that Carrie's doing, he gives some examples. And it's well worth looking at. So anyway, it's a tune that's generally played in A, always played in A as far as I know. So tune your banjo to standard G tuning and capo at the 2nd fret and put your 5th string up to an A. And let's see what we can do with this tune. This tune has 4 parts, but don't be daunted. They're none of them too complicated. And I urge you to listen to this tune a bunch. Try to find old-time players playing it, because that's the kind of version that we're talking about here. I'll go ahead and play it once. There may be some things that I do when I play it that I won't necessarily be doing when I'm teaching it, but I will try to hit all those little things at the end anyway. Okay, so there's Hangman's Reel. First part. So let me just talk a little bit about the tune, the whole tune, for a second. When we're talking about this whole tune, I think that what it all comes down to is you're doing a bunch of stuff that's got 1 chords and 5 chords, which is your D7 chord. And then finally, and then your 3rd part is just a whole bunch of D7th, and it's just leaving you hanging. And then finally, on the 4th part, you finally get to go those big 1s and 4s. You finally get to play 4 chords, which is this shape, the C shape. This is the D7 shape. It's an E7 because you're capoed up. Okay. So we're gonna. Here's your 5, your D7 shape with your capoed up, so it's an E7. Bum, diddy, pull off, bum. So I leave this finger on and I go pull off, bum. So bum, diddy, pull off, bum. And that's all on the 3rd string. And then you have your 2nd string. And then your 2nd string. Diddy. And then we're going to have pull off, pull off, pull off, pull off. And I usually keep my finger there. So anyway, you're pulling off the 3rd string. So it sounds like this. Okay? And then you do part of that again. You go. And sometimes I go. But you could just go. If you want to make it simple. pull off, bum diddy, pull off and bum diddy, bum diddy, or bum diddy, bum diddy, diddy diddy den diddy, if you like. And then you do that first line. The third line is the same as the first line. So right here's the fourth line. It's different. Ham on diddy, ham on diddy, ham on diddy, bum diddy. What I'm doing there is I'm hitting the second string and hammering the third string, diddy. Now I'm going to hit the third string and hammer the fourth string. So, hammer on diddy, hammer on diddy. Now I'm going to hit the fourth string. And I tend to put this finger down. But you don't have to do that. Hammer on diddy, hammer on diddy, hammer on diddy, bum diddy. So here's the whole first part. Bum diddy, pull off, bum, bum diddy, pull off, bum diddy, pull off, bum diddy, bum diddy, bum diddy, pull off, bum diddy, pull off, ham on diddy, ham on diddy, ham on diddy, bum diddy. And then you repeat that part, so because it has two A's. Okay? So that's the whole first part. Here's the second part. Now, this has a melody similar to another tune, and so if it helps you to think of this, I think of the words to this other tune, Gray Cat on a Tennessee Farm. Big cat spit in little cat's eye, little cat, don't you cry. That's all that does. It's a shorter part. It's 8 bars. Yeah, it's a 4-bar phrase repeated. So let's do that. Now there's a couple ways that you could do this. You could. Here's what I do. I go diddy 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 diddy. So I'm hitting the first string, second string, first string, second string. Each time on my thumb is coming down, and then ba-da-bum, bum, diddy. That's the third string. You're making your 5 chord. Ba-da-bum, and then second string. So diddy 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 ba-da-bum, bum, diddy. So the first time it leaves you hanging, and the second time it resolves. And then we do that again. And instead of, you could go, I think I'm more apt to do that. That's all there is to the second part. Big cat spit in little cat's eye. Little cat, don't you cry. Okay, now here's the third part. And if you were just playing the guitar, you would just be playing the 5 chord through this whole part. If you're playing the fiddle, you'd just be playing the melody. So we're going to try to split the difference and kind of throw in some melody, but also imply this 5 chord. And a lot of people don't, but for whatever reason, it's always, when I play this part, it's always, I do some syncopation, which is just a matter of hesitating a little bit before you're hitting the next string. And what my hand does when it does it is it instead of sticking close here, it kind of comes up and floats back down again, which just means I've added that much more time before I hit the note. that's the fourth part. So here's the third part again. We're gonna break it down. Bum diddy bum bum diddy pull off pull off. We'll start with that. So 5 chord, 3rd string. Bum diddy bum bum diddy pull off pull off. That's the pull off. Right. Bum diddy bum bum diddy pull off pull off. Now, sometimes I syncopate this next line, but I'm not going to for teaching it right now. Because sometimes I go bum diddy bum. So we're just gonna. And notice we're ending on the 5. We're not going back to the 1 at the end of the phrase because we want that tension, and it's going to hurl us into the fourth part where we get to do this nice big 4 chord 1 4. Okay, but let's make sure we have this third part down. Bum diddy bum bum diddy pull off bum diddy bum diddy hammer on diddy pull off diddy bum diddy bum bum diddy pull off diddy bum diddy hammer on diddy pull off diddy, or hammer on diddy pull off diddy hammer on diddy drop thumb diddy. That's what I do. Hammer on diddy drop thumb diddy. Now that drop thumb is I'm not even sure exactly what I'm doing. Okay, just go hammer on diddy, drop thumb diddy, and then on to the next part, bum diddy. So there's a couple ways you could do this. Of course, there's always a couple ways you can do anything. So if you're doing it slightly different from me, but it's all staying in time and it sounds good to you, it's fine. So you could go bum diddy, drop thumb diddy bum. So you're rocking back and forth between a 1 and a 4 and a 1 and a 4 and a 1 and a 4 and a 1 and a 5, and then 1 and a 4 and a 1 and a 4, 1 and a 1 and a 5 and a 1. Okay, but how are we going to get there? We're going to go bum. We could go bum diddy drop thumb diddy bum diddy drop thumb diddy bum diddy drop thumb diddy bum diddy bum diddy, or we could go diddy diddy. That's hitting the 2nd string, 5th string, 1st string, 5th string. Now do the same thing with this hand, but put your hand. And now. So it's diddy 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 diddy. Now your 5th string doesn't have to ring out every one really loudly, but and you can do any combination of bum diddy, drop thumb diddy, or diddy 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 diddy. Anyway, make sure you end up on that 5 chord and then bum diddy dum diddy dum. Now, so that line is the same as the first line of the 4th part. So bum diddy bum diddy bum. Let's just do plain bum diddies for this time. Now the last line is different. Hammer on diddy, 5th string, and diddy. Is that hammer on diddy, 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 drop thumb, bum, bum, diddy. Hammer on diddy, 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 drop thumb, pull off, bum, diddy. So no matter how you choose to play this 5th part, end of this, you're going into the first part again. Instead of your ditty, you could do a slide. So you do that slide there too. Now transition into the next part could be, so it's, so that was just instead of doing that last ditty, takes the same amount of time, transition into the next part by going, so Hangman's reel.